Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to do an initial review on Craft Holsters light bearing holster for the Glock 17 with the Streamlight TLR-1, okay? I'm going to take it out later on to show it to you guys. What I did is I asked Craft Holsters to send me the a holster for the Glock 17 TLR-1 because the Glock 17 is one of the most popular guns out there. And the Streamlight TLR-1 is one of the most popular lights out there. Now, there's a lot of choices out there as far as holsters for your gun when you don't have a light on it. But when it comes down to holsters that are meant to carry a light, there's a limited number of options, or there's a lot less of them. Okay, so that's the reason why I specifically asked for this one. Now. I am sort of holding this holster to a higher standard because realistically, if you're going to be carrying a Glock 17, right, which is a full-size gun with a Streamlight TLR-1 with a light on it, you're carrying it because you really intend to do some serious shooting. Okay, so you're either in a combat situation, or you expect to be in a combat situation, or you're going to a training class. Okay, hopefully. It's just because you guys are going to a training class. So if you're going to be going to a training class, right, you're going to be, training classes are usually 2 days or 3 days, or sometimes they can be longer. And you're going to be expected to do a lot of shooting, and you're going to be shooting from a lot of unconventional positions. You'll be laying down on your side, on top of your holster. So the holster has to be pretty tough, okay? So one of the things I really like about this holster, right? This light bearing holster from Craft Holsters. First of all, it retains the gun pretty good. It goes in and out, and it has retention. Okay, if I push up on the gun like this, it has sufficient retention without having to use like a level 2, retention device. Right? You don't have to push buttons or anything, and that's really important for me. I like holsters that are simple. Once you start adding buttons and stuff like that to holsters, it can make the holster more complicated. It makes it bigger. More things that can break. So I like the holster as simple as possible, especially for a combat type of situation. The other thing I like about this holster is that it's pretty flat, right? It doesn't stick out a lot. So if you're going through doorways and stuff, you're not going to be banging the holster on the doorway. I've driven with this holster on, right? Now, obviously, if I'm sitting in my truck, I got a Glock 17 with a light on. It's a big gun. The holster has to be big enough to accommodate the gun. So when you're sitting down driving, yeah, you're gonna feel this, right? You're gonna know you got a gun over here. You're gonna feel this pushing into your body a little bit. But I feel like the holster is minimalist. It is as small as it can possibly be to accomplish the job. Okay. So that's what I like. It's a simple holster that doesn't have any extra bells or whistles, less things that can break, and it certainly does the job of holding the gun. It protects the trigger guard, right? I can come out, okay, go back in, okay. So it does that all pretty good. So that's the first thing, right? It's got to do those things. If it can't do those things, then we're kind of stuck, right? We can't really go much further. So it does those simple things. Now, before I go any further, what I want to do is I want to show you guys my draw stroke, because obviously I'm outdoors. This is a very realistic type of situation, right? We're not in an indoor gun range here, right? We're outdoors. This is the type of scenario that you might be in if you're doing like a 2-day training class where you need to have a combat gun with a light on it, okay? In a holster that can handle these type of conditions. So my draw stroke, when I have insulated gloves on, right? When I pull my gun out, okay, pull the gun out, I bring it in front of me, okay? Because I have gloves, what I do is I put my finger in the trigger guard in this low ready position, okay? So the gun's pointed in a safe direction. I keep the gun here, and then if I gotta address somebody, I address them from this position. You, stop. Okay, if the gun comes up, it's ready. It's to shoot. Okay, right. So that's my draw stroke when I have, in the wintertime when I have gloves on. Okay, I take the glove out, the gun out rather. I put my finger in the guard. If I need to look at it for a second, I look at it. Right. I keep the gun pointed in a safe direction through all this because there's a good chance when you put an insulated glove into your trigger guard, right, the gun may fire. So you got to keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. So if I need to address somebody, I address them from this position here. Stop, get back. And then I can come up and fire from that position if I need to, okay? And then I take my finger out of the guard, okay, when I need to reholster, okay? So, so before I do some drills really quickly, let me show you guys. Okay, it came in a box. It says Craft Holsters. Interesting thing is it's sold by Craft Holsters. The bag that it came in says Falco. Okay, so I think Falco's the manufacturer, and Craft Holsters is the is the seller. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what the relationship is between these two companies, but the bag itself is going to say Falco. It is a sealed bag. Which is good because the bag is sealed. I know that this wasn't like cherry picked for me. They just picked this out of a lot, threw it into this box, and they shipped it to me. I didn't pay for this, right? But the holster normally costs, I think it's $110, right? So it's $110. Which here's the thing: when it comes to light bearing holsters, you have less options out there, right? And so that's why, like, I've looked at a couple of other holsters. Like, I just reviewed another holster about a week ago that was about, I don't know, I think it was about $40, and it was terrible. I mean, I just couldn't get the gun in the holster, right? So it didn't fit the gun right. And so there's a limited number of choices out there. So that's why I really wanted Craft Holsters to send me a light bearing holster because I wanted you guys to be aware that, hey, if this turned out to be a good holster, I wanted you guys to be aware of it, okay? Because, like I said, there's a limited number of options out there. So let's go through a couple of drills. So again, using that technique I just told you guys, I'm going to pull the gun out, all right? I'm going to keep the gun pointed in the ground, get my finger into the guard, right? Come out, sights on target, finger off the trigger, gun goes back in the holster, okay? So now let's get into some of the realistic stuff that you guys would most likely be doing if you went to, to a 2-day class or something, right? So you're going to be on the ground, get on the ground, right? Get to the gun, finger in the guard, come out. Come back around. Okay, so I've been doing this for all week. This holster holds up to you rolling around on it, okay? And as you guys saw, I was rolling on it with the gun in the holster, with the gun not in the holster. I don't know why I took my, oh, I know why. I'm like, why did I take my gloves off? I took my gloves off so I can take my belt off. Hold on, let me just get the gun out. Get the holster off, take a look at it. And what I did with this holster is when I put it in, I put one of the belt loops. All right, so the way I do is I pass a loop through here. Okay, I run it under the belt loop that's on my pants, and then I come up on the other side. Let me tighten my pants up, and then we'll take a closer look at the holster itself. Okay, so here's the holster. One of the things that I like, where is it? Did I get it right? Yeah, that's the right side. Okay, so one of the things that I like is that this cover over here comes up high enough to cover the rear sights, okay? Because if it doesn't cover the rear sights, those rear sights are gonna pinch you when you sit in the car, or even if you're rolling around on it on the ground, those rear sights are going to pinch you. So I really like the fact that that this cover comes all the way up here to cover those rear sights, okay? So as you guys can see, it's a pretty simple design. They've got, there's basically two pieces of plastic that fit together. You can see that it says Falco over there. Now, the holster itself does not say Glock 17 TLR-1 on it. If I was to give some advice to the company, you gotta print that on the holster, because it's really easy for this thing to get mixed up at the factory. Same thing with the bag that this thing came in, right? It says Falco. It does not say Glock 17 TLR-1. So this is going to get mixed up by the shipping department. So this has to have a label on it, either whether it's a printed label or whatever, it's got to get labeled, because otherwise it's going to get mixed up and then people are going to get pissed off, okay? Let's close this thing up. Okay, so as you can see, it's basically two halves that are put together, and there's 3 rivets on each side that hold this in place, okay? You can see the rivets, and then basically two of the rivet holes over here are threaded, and then that's how they attach these belt loops, okay? Now, let me take the gun out. Okay. This is the place where I saw a problem now, okay? Okay, I tightened this up, all right? You see these loops over here? Okay, this side did not come loose, okay? And I did tighten this up before I did this video, because the last time I went through this exercise, that also got loose. So the way these belt holders are in place is basically the you have a very thin nut on this side, a very thin screw, and these things just kind of screw together. That needs Loctite, okay? That needs to be Loctited from the factory. Now I'm going to Loctite this, but I didn't want to Loctite this before I did the video, because I kind of knew that I was going to go through this exercise and this was going to most likely come loose, because I've seen it come loose before, right? It didn't come loose on this side. It came loose on that side, okay? This is not a major issue. It's an easy fix. You just got to Loctite the screws. This should be done at the factory, but this is one of the things that you guys should inspect. When you get this holster, first thing you do is you make sure it fits the gun. Next thing you do is make sure that these things are Loctited. You take a screwdriver, you just give it a twist over there, make sure it doesn't move, because if these screws come out, then this thing is not going to stay where it's supposed to stay, and you're going to have problems. And if you're if you went to a 2-day training course and these screws fall out, now you don't have a holster, so that you're going to be in a really bad position, okay? So this is an easy fix, but this must be addressed. This should be addressed at the factory. And if you buy this holster, you got to check that. If you need to put Loctite on that, put Loctite on that and test this out. That's important. Other than that, I like this holster. It's thin. It's minimalist, right? It doesn't have more things on it than it needs to have on it. It's tight. It's close to the body. It does the job. Let me get the gun back. If I take the light off the gun, right? We take the light off the gun. Okay, if you take the light off the gun, okay, I mean it's not meant to be carried like this, right? But to me that's not horrible, in the sense that if I need to, if for example, if I didn't have another light, and I needed to use this light so I can, because let's say the light that I normally carry in my pocket, let's say that stopped working. I'm like, okay, great. Now this is the only other light I got. I got to use this light. So I'm able to take this light off, okay, put the gun back in the holster, and I can walk around. Obviously, I can't be rolling around. I can't be jumping around, because that's sitting there loose, okay? So that's definitely going to come out. But the point I'm bringing out is that it will sit there. Because with some other holster designs that I've seen is once you put it in there, the gun almost like automatically flops out, okay? So this will sit in there so you can just do like normal walking, okay? Of course, you gotta be conscious that the gun, like if I was gonna walk around, I'd probably walk around with my palm on the gun, while I was using this light. But this holster, put this back down. I still got around that chamber, so I'm being careful. So this holster is designed to be used with a light on the gun. You can't use that gun and this holster without having the light on it, except for like a short temporary, use, okay? So, we'll put this down. So yeah, I like it. It does the job. I will probably review this again in the future. Like I said, I only had this for about a week and a half, something like that. I've done a good deal of shooting. I've done some driving around with this. It works excellent, except for the fact that these nuts here need to be Loctited down. That's the only major thing that needs to be done, and it's an easy thing to correct. Beyond that, if I was to make some advice to the company, it'd be nice, like in the next design in the future, if there was a way to adjust the tension, even though I don't think this one needs it. But that might be something for the next generation. But again, I like the minimalist design. It works. It holds everything in place. So it's a good holster. I like that it covers the rear sight, so that the rear sight does not pinch you. So good stuff. And the other thing is this should be printed someplace on the holster that it's for a Glock 17 TLR-1. So there's no mix-up at the factory or in your, for yourself, right? If you got like, let's say like somebody like me, I got a lot of guns, I got a lot of holsters. Okay, this is just going to get thrown into a box full of holsters that all kind of look the same. So when I pick it up, how am I going to know that this is for the Glock 17 TLR-1? So I'm going to have to put like a little label here. So but other than that, yeah, I really like this. I will be reviewing this again in the future after I've had maybe another 6 months of use on this. But so far, good to go. Just Loctite the nuts on it. Put this down. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. I'll put some links below to Craft Holsters in case you want to go buy this holster, check it out. Like I said, it's $110, which I think is pretty reasonable. It's not cheap, right? I've seen other stuff. Like I had ordered another holster from on Amazon that was light bearing for the Glock 17. It was like $40, but it did not fit the gun, right? It just didn't fit the gun. I couldn't get it into the holster. I set that back. Okay, so there's not that many options out there at $110. I think my personal opinion is that this is a very reasonable price for this holster. So if you guys have any comments, put in the comment section. If you're not a member of the channel, please subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.